Welcome back. This is part 5 of the 12th Conference of National Scenic and Historic Trails.
The nonprofit organizations, as much as working with the agencies, you could make a lot more money working with them than working for us. So really, there are opportunities abound in all different disciplines for you all to be part of the conservation of what is, in my mind, one of the most important things in this nation. I think you guys
sessions at 5 o'clock.
There will be an
Thank you very much.
session.
I really appreciate it.
Have one last opening.
So maybe this goes to the employment session. I'm Kate Bradley with the National Park Service, and it's obvious that you all are leaders, so please don't ever forget that you all are leaders now, and you will be leaders for the rest, because that doesn't usually reverse itself. There are purple sheets in your registration package that list who's here, and especially, well, I can only speak for myself. Getting from a trail and into an agency as an employment gig can be daunting because the federal application process is Byzantine, and that's putting it politely. So I'm suggesting that you use that purple sheet to identify the agency people to at least help you swim through that process. If that's what you decide to do at the agency level, be in touch with us. We'll review your applications. Your applications are going to, your first pass is going to someone who has no idea what they're looking at. That's not their job to understand context. Their job is to match word for word. So let us help you, at least in that process, because there's a lot of great opportunity. There's a lot of really fun stuff going on at the agency level. And then there's the other side of the agency level, but I'm not going to get into that.
Let's save that for its own conference. All right, so we've got one last discussion before we move on to the last discussion point. We'll have 15 minutes.
Hi, I'm Ian Nelson. I'm the Pacific Crest Trail Association's regional representative for Northern California, Southern Oregon. And unfortunately, I haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to interact with our new trail apprentices these last couple of days. But I just kind of want to piggyback off from the agency side to the not-for-profit private partner side. And just, our names and contacts are all over that paper as well. We're easy to find on our websites. But it was incredible to hear your stories. I really appreciate you guys sharing that. I just want you to encourage you to stay the course. I studied forestry wildlife at Virginia Tech. I led 4 SCA crews with my now wife in the summers years ago now, and I'm now a trail professional working full-time year-round for the Pacific Crest Trail Association. So stay the course, do good work, and you'll be out here with us before you know it. Thanks.
It sounds like you guys are all about to get a job. So for our last discussion point, Ms. Christine.
Okay, so we've already discussed how can we engage you, so I'm just going to reiterate the question. So what can trail organizations do to engage you? I think that, like I said before, to get in touch with local schools, because I feel like I've talked to several adults, and I felt like there was an era of like, well, how am I going to find this youth? I mean, they're in your backyard, they're like in your towns. Like go to your local schools, go to summer camps, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, get them engaged in like maybe an adopted trail program, or make clubs, become mentor figures. And then also, in our day and age, students are becoming more, our children nowadays are becoming more obsessed with technology. Now, I think we should use technology to our advantage and, get into Twittering, Facebooking, YouTubing, and maybe even come up with like positions dedicated to working with the media and like these types of online things, and give it to like a person around our age or something to promote and publicize the national trails. Maybe create like photo contests or essay contests, art contests, to somehow give just something for youth to, a tangible thing for youth to engage in the trails. So I'm going to open up the discussion.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jermaine Robinson. I'm from Washington, D.C. I work with the SEA and the National Park Service. My whole goal is to do outreach to children, youth about trails in their areas. And the thing I'm finding is that it's really hard to get mainly the urban communities, especially the youth, out on trails. The adults don't even know that trails exist in the neighborhoods. So I would say give youth the opportunity like this. Like, this is my first experience with something like this. Let youth know that it's more than what's in their neighborhoods. It's a whole different side of the world, and I'm seeing that now. So I think if funding is created for youth to do things like this, it would be really great. And I agree with Christine about the whole Twitter, Facebook thing, because I'm a fanatic with that too. So it's a really great way to get information about what's going on, especially as far as trails, because these urban communities really don't care about trails and everything like that. So I think the whole Twitter, Facebook thing and offering opportunities like this would be really good. Thank you.
Since Teresa ran the show, I'm going to honor her with the microphone.
Hi, everybody. I sit here listening, and I just so thrilled. I think you guys have done just a fabulous job, and in particular, modeling a really good, well-run panel. Thank you. But the thing I'm hearing that I find, I personally, as a board member of PNTS, am really being challenged with over the last 3 days and 4 days, is a sense of priorities. As an organization, both within my board that I work with partnership, but individually in our organization, and I see it within the agencies, we think everything you've said is important, and I personally am committed to increasing opportunities, finding the funding. I know those of us in the room, we're committed to that. But the hard part is, I also have to be committed to making sure I make payroll. And I have to make sure we have tools. And I have to make sure we have staff raises so I don't lose my staff that I have who I care about very deeply. And so you put all that in the mix and you get really challenged and sometimes frustrated because everything is important that we've heard here in this room. But I think there's also a challenge, we each individually, those of us who've been around the block a few times or around the trail, is that we need to really challenge ourselves to demonstrate our commitment. And I challenge all of us here, and I wish I could challenge everyone in the other rooms more importantly, because I think we are committed, those of us that are in this room, to really put our money where our mouth is. And I think that's why we continue to mention Jonathan Stevens. And it was actually Mike Dawson, and who was having a conversation with Jonathan Stevens that actually initiated this project. He sort of said, I think we should bring youth to the conference. And it was Jonathan Stevens who sort of said, I think I can find some money to do that. And then he threw a gauntlet, and it was a gauntlet thrown down to the other agencies and saying, here's my demonstration and my commitment that sort of got us where we are today. But I think we have to take this message back to our each individual organizations, and you guys need to press us. You need to hold us to it, to continue to keep up this commitment, and show us and make us honor you. Because if we don't honor you, we're not honoring ourselves. And I think that's really important, and I just encourage you all, and I said this earlier, to be honest, to be direct, to not think you don't have a voice or that your voice isn't important, and to keep, and if we don't hear you, it might be because we have all these other priorities. Just keep talking louder and make yourself known. Don't be afraid to tell us that you're there and remind us that you're there, because if we don't, we'll get 20 years down the road and realize we missed a really important opportunity. So don't be shy and remind us and hold us to the line. Don't let us let it fall on our watch. We're going to try really hard not to, but you might have to help remind us how important it is. And I just want to tell you, I think everyone here knows you guys are just tremendous, and it's been such a great experience, and it's been a real success to have this group of people at this point in time in this setting right now. This could not have happened without each of you in this room right now. So each one of you know you have just become a part of a legacy, and that legacy is going to have to live with you, and you have to take that responsibility equally. and get engaged with your trail organizations, even if it's not a national scenic or recreation trail or historic trail. Go home, get engaged, continue to remain engaged, and inspire those around you. But I think it's been a great learning experience. Again, I just want to thank you and just encourage you to speak loudly.
Hey, you did that Southern guy in a bag saying, wait till you hear mine. So it's going to be pretty tough. I would encourage all the older adult leaders here about something. You got to start this today. I know how things are going at work. It might take some time. But you think our generation is, 97% of our generation owns a computer. Video games are very relevant. Generation Z, which is behind Generation Y, is moving worse than us. They're born after 2000, so they're totally immersed in the internet. You know, you can't judge our generation by studies. I don't really like that when you try to put studies on our generation, because we've had the biggest change since the Industrial Revolution. So everything's out the door. Start today, and I don't know the SCA and the other one, what their retention rate is. I hope it's very high. But I know in Alabama, we didn't have anything like that. You know, think, well, Alabama, redneck outdoors. That's not very true. So, also something else I want to address is, in these studies, we talked about the nature deficit disorder and the obesity, yes. Those are effects. Let's do the cause. The video game industry, the entertainment industry. EA Sports spends $151 million developing their video games. Now, are you guys going to go to Capitol Hill and get that kind of money? We've got to figure out alternative ways to get to these guys, okay? So, use, who remembers the Oregon Trail video game? Americans are in. And that's how they target it. Yeah, exactly. See? That's a recruiting tool. So, and it's a lower development cost in EA Sports. Let's use this kind of stuff as an alternative. Let's use technology. Facebook and Twitter, all these net web 2.0 stuff might be the trend. Studies are saying it's a trend, and let's find alternative ways to do this. I believe that networking, the Twitter, but we got to think about the next generation behind us. Because start today, because it might be a little bit late for our generation also. I mean, the older generation here, I don't want to call it all that, but let's say, there might be, 15% is involved in the trails and the outdoors. With us, it's late, and the infiltration rate is lower, so it might be a 5 or 4%. So let's start now and develop this younger generation. Let's get them back to that 15 and develop them that way. So I want to encourage everybody here to start now. Let's do this together.
Throw out an idea that I've heard discussed by several people, which is interactive web mapping. So don't just have a web page, but if you do it similar to Google, where they can pass over areas and see an awesome picture. And for kids, it could be Bear Scat, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a Vista. I have more fun cooking in Bear Scat with Girl Scouts than I have doing all sorts of educated and important things. And the other part of that is we like to plan, and we like to do it online. So if you can have a TripAdvisor, you can plan your hike online and have all those tools. How many days does it take to get to point A to point B, and what are all the cool things I'm going to see, and who can I call, and how can I make that happen? So there's just that online techie idea to pass on to you.
Okay, I apologize. I get really nervous right now. I'm currently working with the SCA to do climate change research, and I'm doing inventorying parks for the greenhouse gas emissions, and Ashley gave me this idea of trying to bring trails into the same program, because we're trying to expand this. It's starting only in the Pacific West region, and I want to try and help this climate-friendly parks to expand this whole emission inventory across the nation, and maybe somehow involve trails and inventory trail organizations somehow. But I think to kind of go along with this whole green image that's so popular, and it's actually more than a trend, it's, environmental consciousness being integrated into everything. And if we could somehow bridge the trail organizations and trail, whatever kind of policy and, trust they have, to bridge it into the upcoming, climate legislation somehow.
Stay Stay tuned to the 12th Conference on National Scenic and Historic Trails in Missoula, Montana.